All right, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for a special Gamers Edition of OpenVPN product webinars this month. Setting up Access Server, the cake is not a lie. For those of you who have ever played the Portal games, this one's for you. And for those of you who haven't, you're going to get the same great content here as last month anyway here. So thank you guys for joining us here today, and we're going to jump right in. My name is Matt Mayhus. I lead the marketing team here at OpenVPN, and we're going to be kicking us off here today. I'm joined by my colleague and sales engineer, Sean Galrez, and we were supposed to be joined by a special guest speaker here, but they had other obligations this morning. So here's our quick agenda, and we're going to try to get into the product here as fast as we can. I know that's what folks are here to see the benefits of OpenVPN Access Server and self-hosted VPNs. A few housekeeping items though before we jump right in here. The call is being recorded, so we will share this with all the attendees here after today's call. You'll get an email with a link to the recording if you want to come back to the product tour or share with any coworkers. Everyone's line is going to be on mute. We typically have a pretty good crowd on these webinars and want to avoid any potentially disruptive background noise. With that said, if you do have questions, we ask that you put them into the Q&A box, and Sean and I will get to them here at the end of today's call. We'll have a few polls here throughout, and I'm looking forward to your participation there as well. So let's jump right in here. And before we get into the product, I want to just quickly set some context with a couple of brief slides. So the state of network security. When we talk with customers, there is a short list of items that come up that represent where the biggest challenges and opportunities are. And most of these, I'm sure, resonate with you here and where you're spending a lot of your time and the work that you're doing here. But want to level set on when we talk about Access Server, how we're helping organizations overcome and capitalize on some of these opportunities here. So securing privacy and data protection, thinking about ensuring end-to-end encryption, user authentication, access control, endpoint management, data leakage and split tunneling, a number of other items. These are all top of mind when it comes to securing your privacy and data, of course. Managing compliance. The challenge that we're hearing more and more from our customers is not just about being compliant, but being compliant in the face of constantly evolving regulations, interoperability standards, third-party vendor management. We've seen a lot of that in the media lately here. Securing remote access. This is the most common use case that customers look to OpenVPN to help manage and solve for. And with things like expanding attack surfaces, limited or even no oversight of how remote workers are handling data, challenges in complying with compliance requirements, AI-driven attacks and how to mitigate against those, and then of course unsecured or vulnerable hardware. All of those items play into some of the challenges or even opportunities that many of our customers are facing when it comes to securing remote access. And then obviously, managing increasingly risky yet common security challenges, man-in-the-middle, DDoS, malware, any number of these challenges, or security risks rather. So with that being said, I'd like to run through why many of our customers are looking or have moved forward with a self-hosted solution in general, and then share a couple of details on where OpenVPN Access Server fits into those self-hosted pros, if you will. And you'll see this firsthand in many ways when Sean runs through the product here as well. But in terms of the benefits of using a self-hosted solution, and when I say the benefits of using self-hosted, I mean in comparison to a cloud-delivered solution. And with things like the CrowdStrike, challenges from a few weeks ago and others, we are hearing more and more. And our team was just at Black Hat a few weeks ago. Even at Black Hat, more and more folks really turning back to self-hosted solutions if they once went to a cloud-delivered solution. But control and customization. So obviously you have complete control over the server, including the ability to be really customized around your excuse me, security protocols, configurations, customizing settings to meet the needs of your specific team or your business. Scalability, scale according to your team or your company's needs. Adding the ability to add more users and resources as needed, and at the time that they're needed, so that you're not paying for or investing in shelfware of features that you're never going to use. Cost efficiency. While there may be upfront costs for setting up and maintaining a self-hosted solution or VPN, ultimately it's much more likely to be cost effective in the long run. Compliance, I mentioned this on the previous slide, but for those that are in regulated industries or particularly regulated industries, self-hosting allows for much greater control over compliance with your industry's standards and regulations. And then lastly, integration with existing infrastructure. So a self-hosted solution or VPN can be much more easily integrated with your existing infrastructure. So internal network security protocols, identity management systems. These are really the reasons why our customers come to us asking about our self-hosted solution Access Server. And in terms of Access Server here and where this, where we are able to help realize on these benefits of self-hosted solutions. So ease of deployment. Access Server is known for its simple deployment process, and Sean will walk through some of that here in a few minutes. And we have a very user-friendly interface that can be set up on a number of different operating systems and cloud environments. Scalability. So Access Server is able to scale very easily and has very much a centralized approach to management. So giving the ability to manage user access, monitor connections, and control security settings from a single dashboard. Scale up or down in minutes. Again, flexible and scalable in terms of just the benefits of a self-hosted solution. Cost-effective, usage-based pricing. Many vendors will talk about usage-based pricing. Where we get a lot of feedback from our customers is on our particular pricing model, which is focused on the number of concurrent connections. So the number of connections that are online at any given time. And with the growth in, hybrid work, we've heard a lot of customers say this is a great option because they don't have their employees in the office every day, for example. We had a customer stop by our booth again at Black Hat with that exact scenario. And then integrate seamlessly with existing authentication systems. So LDAP, Radius, Active Directory, again, tying back into that self-hosted benefit of being able to integrate easily with your existing infrastructure. So with that context, Sean, I'm going to pass it over to you, and we'll get into the product. And I'm going to share a few more details here as Sean gets into this. But Sean, I'll pass it over to you here. I'll stop sharing.
Okay, great. Thank you. And hello, everyone. So I'm hoping that you can see my screen right now. Okay, so the very first thing, during this part, I'm going to show how to very quickly talk about how to sign up. And then we're going to look at how to install Access Server and how easy it is to install it. And then once I install it, I log into the admin user interface and talk a little bit about the features that comes with the product. In very first thing, obviously everybody needs to have an account. It's free. We don't even ask for a credit card. As you can see, if you go to our website, openvpn.net, click on Get Started for free, and then choose the product. Since we're talking about the Access Server, you choose Access Server. You just enter some information like email, password, name of the company, and then once you're done, right away, you will get redirected to the Access Server portal, which the portal that you can see on the screen right now. From here, you can install the Access Server. You can activate keys. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But when you click on Get Access Server, you'll see the different type of products that you can deploy this Access Server on basically any cloud providers, such as AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, containers, virtual machines, and different distributions of Linux operating systems. For the purpose of this webinar, we chose to do AWS, and not really particular reason, is just one of the products. And the concept is going to be the same when we do go through the installation. For every product is pretty much the same steps that you're going to take. Except the Linux operating systems is a little bit easier. Obviously, once you log into the terminal, you can just run this command and it's going to do this automatically. Now, again, the installation is pretty quick. It's going to take you only a few minutes. As you can see, I'm going to choose AWS here. The next thing that I have to do, and keep in mind, most of these steps are, basically a wizard type of steps that you choose and you go through them. Pretty simple. You choose the AWS region here. If you're using Azure or Google Cloud, it's going to be the same thing. I'm on the US West, so I'm going to choose the region. And then once I click on launch the script on AWS, it's going to take me to my AWS account. Now, you have an option of downloading the CloudFormation script and do it manually, but really, why? It's going to be simpler this way. So once you get to your creating a stack portion of your AWS, here you have to just enter certain information. For example, your stack name, and then you have to choose your VPC ID and then the computer name. So these are all the stuff that you already should have. If you don't, you can just create those. I'm going to use my existing VPC that I have here. As you can see, these are already set up here. So I'm just going to choose them and then give a name to my instance, because this is going to be an instance of EC2 that's going to be created. Then the instance type, I'm just going to leave it as a default, but obviously you need to choose something that is more appropriate for your environment based on number of connections and traffics. That's basically it. The last portion of it, I'm just going to acknowledge that the CloudFormation may create an IAM resources, and that's basically to provide certain permissions and other resources that they need to be they are required for the access server. And then click on create a stack. So this part is going to take about 2 minutes, maybe less than that. And then once it's done, we go log in, and I'll talk a little bit more about how different features of the access server. So while we're waiting for this to be created, I'm going to pass it back to Matt, so he can add some more, points or some other stuff that he needs to talk about here, and then I'll get back again in a couple of minutes and we continue. So Matt, I'm gonna stop sharing right now so you can take over.
Perfect. Thanks, Sean. So while that's installing here, I want to just step back for a second a little bit and talk about OpenVPN and what we aim to enable and solve for our customers. We're talking about access server here today. I have a cloud delivered product as well, though, Cloud Connexus. So if we step back a little bit here, the areas where we aim to provide as much value as we can for our customers fall into broadly these three buckets. So secure or deliver secure remote access anywhere. So regardless of whether our customers are trying to access private resources on their corporate network, SaaS applications, the internet, we want to make sure that we can deliver remote access easily and securely. And for any size company, any industry, any roles of folks who are using the product. And the second is transition from perimeter-based network access to zero trust network access. And for those that have started a journey or are already far along the journey to ZTNA or zero trust, you know that it's not something that happens overnight. It's not a light switch you flip and you turn it on and all of a sudden you've deployed zero trust throughout your organization. It's a journey. And a lot of how we plan our features and build our roadmaps is around how we can support you wherever you are in that evolution of your security model. And then lastly here, cost effectively reduce your attack surface. So keeping your critical applications isolated from the internet in your private networks and reducing your attack surface while providing really convenient identity-based access to only those authorized devices and their users using OpenVPN protocol. And again, cost effectively, our pricing model based on concurrent connections, not number of devices or users. You know, you're only going to pay for what you're going to use, basically. And when looking at how do we strive to deliver on you know, these three areas here, out of the orange box capabilities, a little tip of the hat here for those who have played the game Portal. But some of the out of the box capabilities that help us deliver on those benefits here: on-demand scalability and simplified management. So we have two offerings, like I mentioned, and both bring ease of use and scalability to your users, but also provide centralized configuration, visibility, and management for admins, for the folks on the call here today. Cloud delivered and self-hosted solutions. So we're talking about Access Server today, but having a cloud-based solution as well, Cloud Connexa, there are opportunities to choose based on the criteria of your business. As I mentioned and talked through, and as this group knows, there are certainly many upsides to self-hosted solutions. There are upsides to cloud-based solutions here as well. So both options on our end are the same price. And there are free tiers available, 2 and 3 connections for free for both products. And there is no limit on features. So as we continue to add more and more value to these products, there is you know, no upgrade on pricing. It's all part of the OpenVPN platform here. Network access with built-in security. Remote access should not provide access to the entire network, obviously. So implementing network segmentation, role and attribute-based access control, device identity checks, device posture, IDS, IPS, secure web gateway, all of these things without additional costs. And then again, to just bring this theme home here, usage-based cost-effective pricing and concurrent connections is the name of the game for us. And it allows us to deliver value without forcing our customers to pay for shelfware or features that they're never going to use. And when we look at a lot of our customers, especially those in the SMB space, it's a really cost-effective way of delivering on secure remote access. So Sean, I'll pass it back to you if we are good to go here.
Yes, actually, you're perfect. So let me go back and share my screen again. And okay, as you can see on the screen right now, the stack is done. The creation is done. Our EC2 has been created. I just want to point out how quick it was. As you can see, I initiated at 10:14 my time, and the stack was completed at 10:15. So actually, if you look at the seconds, actually it was a little bit less than a minute. That was pretty quick to create this. Now, I want to point out this, that in AWS, we need to click on Output tab here to get some information. On Azure and Google Cloud is going to be almost similar. They may have different name for the tab. On the Linux distribution, once the installation is completed, you scroll up a few lines in your terminal and you're going to see the same information that I'm showing right now. Basically, we want to get the admin URL. This is how we're going to log into our admin user interface from now on. Second is that, as you can see here, it says that the username is OpenVPN. This is the default account that it comes with the access server that we can log in with the admin rights. And then we have a temporary password, which we're going to change as soon as we log in. So we need to make a note of all these three pieces of information here. So let me copy this, and I'm just going to click on this link. Now, this is the first time we're logging into this access server. It was just installed, so we don't have an SSL certificate installed, and we're using the self-signed certificate here. So that's why we see this message. I'm going to bypass this, and we're going to get to the logon screen. This is where we're going to type that account name, which is OpenVPN, and that temporary password I just copied. We'll click on sign in. very first time when you log into the access server, you need to agree to the license agreement here. So I'm going to click on agree, and here we go. We're landing on the status page of access server. This basically is going to give us an overview of what's happening here right now. As you can see, I don't have any active users. Access server comes with 2 free VPN connections. I'll show you in a second how you can upscale it or downscale it if you need to. Now, the first thing we want to do here, I want to talk about the activation in case if you need more than 2 licenses. So if you expand configuration and go to activation, you can see that I got my 2 free one, but in case if I need to buy more, I just click on get activation key. This is going to take me back to the access server portal. This is where we can purchase the number of the connections that we need. And then we choose if we want to be billed annually or monthly. And then we proceed with purchase, which you enter your information, credit on information. And once you're done, you're going to get an activation key, such as this one you see on the screen. All you have to do is just copy the activation key, come back to your access server, paste it here, and click on replace or activate. And here we go. We basically updated our activations if we need to add more. So it's on the fly pretty quick. Now, one more thing here, we logged in with a temporary password, so it's a good idea to go ahead and change the password right away. If you expand user management, go to user permissions, OpenVPN account is here. So you can click on more settings and you can change the password here. So I'm going to change the password here right away. And once I'm done, I click on save settings and then update running server. Now I have to log out and log back in to make sure that everything is good. So hopefully I typed my password right. And here we go. We're back in. Now let's go back and look at some of the features of access server very quickly. The very first one I want to talk about is the cluster, because this is actually a nice feature with the access server. You can cluster a group of access servers for obviously load balancing and redundancy. Nice thing about this is that the connection subscriptions that you purchase, it can be spread out in a cluster. So you don't have to buy connections for each access server. So that's one of the nice thing here about this. Also, as you can see, I'm logged in with the public IP address here. If you want to use a host name, you can come here and choose the host name. You have to go through the step of registering the domain name, obviously creating an A record in your DNS, and then type the host name here. Now, when it comes to the VPN settings, this is where you can see that default for routing is a NAT, but we do have option for routing, also using routing. With the routing, you have to create the route tables. Obviously, a good use case of using routing if you're using voice over IP protocols, configure with the access server. So there are different use cases that you can use NATs. There are different use cases you can use routing. NAT is easier, but again, it depends on your environment and what you're trying to achieve. Also, split tunnel off or on, if you want to let all internet traffic to be routed through the access server or not, you have to toggle the switch here. Once you do it, then you can let all traffic goes through the access server, or just by selecting no is a split tunnel, basically. Now, one of the things I want to talk about here, access server authentication by default is local. Basically, you can come here, create the usernames here, and give certain permissions to that user. But at the same time, you can use your identity providers as well. Either, let's say that you're using Active Directory, you can configure LDAP. If you're using Entra ID or OneLogin, you can use SAML. You can come configure it here, enter the informations, and then when you go to setting, you can change your default authentication systems. Again, this is a brand new system, so we don't have LDAP or SAML configured here, so we just see a local. But by choosing the default authentication system, then any users that or groups that you have on access server, can be also configured to use the default authentication system or your chosen authentication system. What that means, let's say that here is local. Just imagine for a second that I have SAML and LDAP configured here. Now, if I want to have certain group or certain user choose different authentication system, I can just create the user here, go to more settings, and as you can see here, I can change the authentication system. So the authentication method can be at the user level, it can be at group level or system level. And this is one of the nice features of Access Server. So you can really, create a different layer of securities if you need to, or distinguish different departments or different vendors, anything you want to do. Also, when it comes to multi-factor authentication, again, it can be done at the user level, it can be done at the group level or system level. And when it comes to access control, also same way. So you can choose anything like that. As you can see, I just created the user. I can come here and choose a password for this user as well. And then once I'm done, I click on Save Settings and then Update Running Server. Now I have Tim as a user as well. We can create groups, based on different type of access that we want to provide to our or environment or resources. Let's say I want to create a sales groups, for example, and then I come here again on the more settings. I can do the same thing with the authentication method, multi-factor authentication, and so on. So these are some of the features of the Access Server that I was going to show here. When it comes to password lockout policy, you can come down here under the settings and change these numbers if you need to create a more restrictive policies. And then as far as the other information, obviously you can choose your own DNS servers if you want to use it, or you don't have to alter the client's DNS, or you can use the same DNS server that you have Access Server. So as you can see with this product, you're not only getting the VPN tunnel or connection, you get a lot more features. Now, there are some other features like device identity and verification that you can go and write the script and upload the script into the terminal to the Access Server, and you will have that too. You don't see it on the GUI here, but there are a lot other features that you can enable in Access Server just by typing a couple of commands or getting the sample script from our website and upload it. So this was a quick overview of how to install Access Server quickly, how to upscale it, or if you need to downscale it, to create users and configure different authentication methods. I'm going to pass it back to Matt again here. And if you have any questions about this, let me know. Again, VPN Access Server comes with 2 free connections, so everybody can go sign up today, download it, install it, and play around with it. It's full feature. We don't even ask for a credit card. At any time, if you need more connections, then you can go and upscale it with more connections. Thank you, Matt. Here we go. I'm going to stop sharing, and it's back to you.
Thanks, Sean. So just to wrap up here, then we'll open it for a few minutes for any questions here. So talk through the benefits of deploying a self-hosted VPN, and at the beginning of the call here, but also want to call out some of the key OpenVPN Access Server features. Sean spent most of our product tour today on the installation setup side. That was the goal of today's call here. But a few of the features that you can learn more about on our website and our blog. OpenVPN server with kernel acceleration, firewall and access control, the ability to use multiple authentication methods simultaneously, and high availability. There's a lot of ways that we support these features through some ways that I think are, would be really interesting for this group here. So if you have any questions on Access Server, as Sean said, please reach out to us on our website, or you can reach us here on LinkedIn as well. With that said, though, I'm going to open it up just for a few minutes for any Q&A from the group here.